Now, page 4, the politically motivated, irrational response to the Wuhan Chinese coronavirus that simply does not add up. Something's not right. The numbers just don't square. This massive coast-to-coast corona craziness simply does not align with the empirical data. Right now, Americans have a 1 in 55,000 chance of contracting this virus. 1 in 55,000. But we have a 1 in 3 million chance of dying from it. Those are pretty good odds. In fact, in some states, we have a greater chance of winning the lottery. So go ahead and buy a ticket. Better yet, go ahead and live your life. Something doesn't make sense here. Judging by the numbers from the 2018-2019 influenza season, we have a 1 in 5,000 chance of dying from the flu. 1 in 5,000. And in 2009, we didn't know it because it wasn't publicized much, but we had a 1 in 27,000 chance of dying from the swine flu, H1N1, or as Joe Biden calls it, N1H1. No panic back then, no shuttered cities, no stock market crash, no government stimulus. Something's not right here. Even if you were Chinese and you lived right there at the epicenter of it all, Wuhan, your chances of dying are 1 in 500,000. Something doesn't add up here. We as Americans have a much greater chance of dying from heart disease or cancer than the Wuhan Chinese coronavirus. It's 7 to 1. We have a 1 in 8,000 chance of dying from heat stroke. And yes, the old age-old apples to apples comparison. We have a 1 in 200,000 chance of dying by lightning strike versus a 1 in 3 million chance of pushing up daisies from the Wuhan outbreak. So, does any of this make sense to a rational thinker? Is this reaction by the stock market and by the governors of these blue states and by the mainstream media commensurate with this Chinese contagion? No, it's not. So why? Why this apoplectic, disproportionate response? It's political. It's political. There's simply no other explanation for the irrational response to the Wuhan Chinese coronavirus. And leading this political response to a viral problem that is less of a threat than the flu, by the way, none other than that fear-mongerer-in-chief from New York himself, Chuck Schumer.
Now, our proposal also does not include a payroll tax cut.
Stop tape. Of course it doesn't. Stop tape. Of course it doesn't have a payroll tax cut. Why would the Democrats want the American people to keep more of our hard-earned money? It goes against who and what they are. It goes against their radical ideology. And their radical ideology is very simple, and that is government control. Government is the solution to every problem. They want government to retain as much of our hard-earned money as humanly possible. So, of course, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are not going to be in favor of a payroll tax cut or a tax cut of any kind. They're going to be in favor of more top-down control. They're going to be in favor of, for example, extending unemployment benefits. That's fine. Wonderful. Extend unemployment benefits. But exactly what did that do in 2009, back when Obama was in charge and they did that? All it did was extend unemployment benefits. Sure, you want to have people get unemployment benefits as a stopgap, but extending it doesn't give them a job. Doesn't give them their careers back if they happen to take a hit during this crisis. What does give them their jobs back and their careers back? Well, a healthy economy. A healthy economy with healthy businesses and healthy corporations that hire people and employ people. That, by the way, is redistribution of wealth. It's a portion of redistribution of wealth, right? You have companies redistributing their wealth to their employees. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and all of these radical Democrats hate it. They don't want the free market doing the redistribution of wealth. They want the federal government to be doing the redistribution of wealth. Roll tape.
may be premature and the wrong response to the problems we face today.
Stop tape. Of course, it's premature. Everything to Chuck Schumer is premature when it involves allowing us to keep more of our money. Their response is always going to be a government response. But think about our history. What has happened in our past, in our United States history? Think back to FDR and what he did and his response to the recession. His response was a government response, and it created a depression that lasted for years and years and years and created untold pain and suffering for millions and millions of Americans. And the only reason that we got out under FDR of that depression is because of World War II. And we got the engine of America going again. Unfortunately, it cost us about 450,000 American lives to get out of that depression, which was government-induced. And think back to the age of Jimmy Carter and the melees that he created, and all of the top-down government controls like gas rationing and all kinds of other kind of government controls that the Carter administration put into place. It created a recession. And so that's how Ronald Reagan got elected, because people were sick of it. And so what did Ronald Reagan do? Well, he reduced taxes. He tried to reduce the burden of government on businesses. And what happened? Well, by 1983, 1984, we had GDP around 7%. In other words, the American people fixed the problem back then in the mid-'80s and the early '80s. It was the American people. The American people had more money in their pockets. Businesses were free to expand and to hire people. Overall, the economy made a tremendous recovery, maybe the greatest recovery of our time. And then we look to Barack Obama in 2008, 2009, 2010. Here you have, again, an example of a, quote, government solution, the so-called shovel-ready jobs that weren't there, the so-called stimulus that cost the American taxpayers $1 trillion. It did absolutely nothing to help the economy. In fact, it hurt the economy and helped drive up the debt. What fixed the U.S. economy? Well, time. Time fixed the U.S. economy under Barack Obama. It's a tribute to the free markets that we even survived 8 years of Barack Obama. Then comes along Donald Trump, reduces taxes, tries to get the government off the throat of American businesses, and voila. All of a sudden we have good times, boom times again, among some of the greatest boom times in American history. The pattern is there. What's going to fix the coronavirus problem, and the coronavirus, what could be eventually a recession, is not going to be government. It's going to be the American people. So this hysteria, this corona hysteria, it smacks of the Obama credo, which is also the Saul Alinsky credo, which is also the Stalin-Lenin credo, which is also the Marx credo. And it is this, as Rahm Emanuel put it, never let a good crisis go to waste. And it is clear from a purely political perspective, the Democrat mainstream media cabal is doing exactly that.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.